eerie Monday morning, Jason, and this cloudy
It
day in
is.
New York City. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Granny's Peach Tea, episode 206. I know it's an unusual Monday morning, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. But
That's right.
if you are joining us on the live one, thank you for joining us on the Facebook live stream. If you're joining us on YouTube or wherever you found your audio-only podcast. I am Ed, and with me as always is Jason. Jason, we've got an interesting combination of things to go over today, I would say, to say the least.
We do. Two very different shows.
Drastically different shows. But a lot of TV, though, and I think a lot of TV for us coming up for a little bit because the schedule just says so, and that's kind of it.
Yes.
So we are opening up with the Alien theme because we are going to start our dive into the Alien franchise, opening up with Alien Earth, which is the new FX series that started last week, which we will be talking about today, as well as the Sandman season 2, because we haven't been able to have a chance to get to that because somebody was taking forever. This guy right here to watch it. But yes, finally I went ahead and I was actually a little under the weather this weekend, so it was a perfect time to go through the entire thing. Actually it was 11 out of the 12 episodes have been over the last 3 days. So.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah, a whole lot of Sandman. I feel like I was in the dream.
That's a lot of Sandman. Yeah.
I could have been, but all right. Well, Jason, what's up? How's your week been? Anything? Did you catch anything? Did you get to go to the movies?
I didn't. I've been really lazy because the summer's coming to an end. So I'm like, yeah. So I get up late and then I got to go pick my son up, and I just haven't had time. But I'll get there. What have I been doing? I've been watching a lot of old stuff lately. I just got this Columbo box set right here. You thought I was kidding. Every single Columbo episode right here. Oh, I was not.
Oh, wow.
I've been watching. And so this it came in the mail, and I opened it up, and all of the discs fell out. And at first I was like, oh man, that sucks. I got to put them together. And I went, no, that's the beauty of Columbo. I'm just going to leave it as it is, and I will randomly take discs when I feel like it, put it in, and let's just see what I get.
Wow. So there's no chronological order or anything, just Columbo, and that's it.
Nope.
Okay.
That's it. And I it'll tell me where it, the disc will tell me where it is. So it's all 6 or 7 of the seasons plus 30 TV movies.
There's that many Columbo TV movies? Seriously?
Oh, it never ended. God damn it. They were doing Columbo well into the 90s.
Yeah, my father used to watch that show. I would actually watch it with him at times. And I don't know. I mean, I was too young to really really understand it, right? So I'm just kind of that's the guy with the glass eye, and he's got the trench coat and stuff. And that was pretty much as far as I knew about. And I knew he was an investigator, I guess.
Yeah, he does this thing where he pretends he's stupid, and everyone, checks him out, and then he's like, "Oh, by the way, I read the script before I got on stage, and I knew the killer was the whole time."
That's great. That's awesome.
I've seen. Let's see. George Hamilton has been a killer. William Shatner has been a killer. Leslie Nielsen was killed.
What?
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen was killed by the guy who played the prisoner. Marcia, you get it.
Oh, Marcia, thanks for joining us on this. I wasn't sure how much interaction we were going to get on a Monday morning during the summer, but that is awesome, Marcia. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. And we got a Columbo fan. Jason, how many times has the opening thing reeled in comments? I don't remember a lot of it.
I don't think it ever has. And I went so far as to pretend to be a preacher for the Superman Church. Yes. And here all I had to do was talk about Columbo to get people interested.
That's awesome.
All right, fair enough. Be simple.
Right. Nice. Well, all right. Let's jump into it because we do have an entire season of a Netflix show to discuss. The Sandman season 2 has basically wrapped up. They did drop it. I'm going to drop that spoiler warning across the bottom. So if you haven't seen the Sandman season 2 and you wish to, then come check us out another time, or just deal with the spoilers, because we're going to be talking about this show and its oilets, spoilery goodness, not holding anything back. Yeah, so they did drop it in 2 different parts, and that's where I messed up, because part 1 dropped right before Jason went on vacation, and what I should have done, instead of pushing it off, I should have been like, oh, I'm going to get ahead of the game, and I'm going to watch the first half of the season, and then season 2 when it drops. But instead, what happens is you wait, and then you watch everything plus the bonus episode in a matter of 3 days. So that was
you're fresh.
I am definitely fresh on the subject. I will say that. Also, on top of it, both episodes of Alien Earth. So a lot of TV to be crammed into like 3 days. All right. Jason, so I guess we'll start with overall thoughts, and then we'll just touch on stuff throughout the series, because we're not going to go episode by episode, because we'll probably be here until tonight if we did that.
Yeah.
What did you think of it? What were your feelings on season 2?
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was as good as season 1. I felt season 1 I really enjoyed, and I think the big difference is season 1 had a through line that all of the other stories kind of wrapped around from the beginning, right? Sandman is let out of his prison. Sandman has to collect the artifacts to restore the dream world, right?
Yeah.
Or restore his place in the dream world. That pretty much it. And everything that comes from that. This didn't have that. This is a bit all over the place for a while. It's like, all right, so now we gotta find my brother. Was that gonna come to? Not much. But now we gotta go to hell and fight Satan. No, Satan quit. Okay. Or Lucifer quit. Okay. Now I'm doing trade disputes for hell. Who gets hell? Okay. It meanders, and then at the end, I feel it tries to accomplish a lot.
Yeah.
In like little, like by the second to last episode, we got Joanna Constantine, and we get the Corinthian back. I completely forgot about that guy. But it's not the Corinthian, but he has his memories, and they set up like a romance between him and Joanna Constantine that, if it were playing out for the season, would have been interesting. But we get an episode and a half, and we're supposed to buy that she's into him. No. So that's what I think. I think it just rushes. So, and maybe it's because it knew it was coming to an end. I don't know. I've only read 1 episode of this comic, and we'll discuss it at the end of this. But it's not the Sandman stuff, and I just felt that. And I watched it all together. I didn't watch it in 2 chunks. So I watched it all together like you did. I didn't even realize it was dropped in 2 chunks. And I just felt like every episode and a half we were switching gears.
Yeah, all right. So I'm glad. I'm going to be honest. I thought it was just me, because it was. I'm going to be completely honest. It was a bit of a chore to get through this season because of. And man, you really did steal the words out of my mouth with the meandering, because I really did. Oh, well, thank you, Marsha.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Marsha.
Yeah. All right. So I didn't care for this season. I thought it was meandering, like you said, it was meandering, and it felt like it was just kind of wasting time, and there were filler episodes, and it was kind of scatterbrained and all over the place. I think what kept me interested was some of the concepts that were in it. Also, I should have looked them up. I'll look it up quick. The guy who plays the Sandman, who plays Morpheus / Dream / King of, the guy has a lot. Guy has more AKAs than a member of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Now I just pictured him as a member of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh my God! Well, then I would have been, really, really all about this.
The RZA, Dream.
Old dirty bastard, Inspector Deck, Raekwon the Chef, the Dream, the Morpheus, the King of Dreams. Oh man, I did not think that's where it was going, but yeah, Tom Sturridge is who plays Dream / Morpheus in this, who also doesn't really have a ton. I guess he does a lot of British stuff, which this is basically like a British TV show, right? Like I think it's safe to say that. I don't personally watch a lot of British TV, but I know a lot. There are people who do. I feel like this show probably should have been on BBC or something like that. But yeah, I agree. Your assessment is honestly spot on because it starts off where it looks like we're kind of picking up where season 1 kind of left off with Lucifer, and then she quits, and it turns out a lot of his family quits because this season was also very heavy on Dream's family, right? Like this is all about Dream's family. Like that's basically what all there is in this season is all Dream's family. So we his cousin Lucifer, who he dealt with in season 1, she basically quits and gives him the key to hell. That's the first kind of thing we're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
And she just goes to lay on a beach and just relax and is like, here's my revenge. I'm going to give you hell. And I know everyone wants it. So then, like you said, the first, I think it's like episodes 2 and 3 kind of deal with this, right? And it's basically everyone and their mother lining up. They come from everywhere. Some of the people in hell. And the interesting thing was that we get Odin, Thor, and Loki in this, which, for those who might not be aware, are not Marvel Comics characters exclusive. They are Norse mythology and kind of out there in the public domain to kind of do what you do. You just can't make it, Chris Hemsworth, or you can't make it, Tom Hiddleston. Like they don't look anything like the Marvel version.
Yeah, you can't do the Marvel image, but those characters predate Marvel by thousands of years.
Yes. So, Thor has Mjolnir. Loki is, he's not really, he defines himself differently as like he's not the god of mischief in this. He's more
the god of fire, right?
Fire and hate and death and kind of things like that. It goes a little bit darker than that. And Odin has one eye and, he's just kind of like this older dude, not Anthony Hopkins. And that was the highlight of kind of that. And he ends up turning, and then someone offers Morpheus Dream, his lover that apparently he had in the past. And he's looking for that. So that's what it kind of looks like. Those are the first intertwined things, right? Unless I'm mistaken. And that deal is offered, doesn't happen. He ends up giving it elsewhere to basically the people of hell, and they kind of do what they may. And that's the last we hear of it. Just done.
That's it. The only thing that introduces that come into play later is Loki.
Yep.
Robin Goodfellow, the fairy. Like it introduces people.
Yeah.
That are important, but that plot about like Lucifer never comes back. The plot about hell never comes back. Like once he gives the keys to the kingdom to the people who live there, that's it. Done. We're off somewhere else. I gotta go find and free my love. Who, when she left me 1,000 years ago, I sent her to hell. Like
and that's why he goes to hell initially.
That's why he goes to hell. Yeah, and so he gets her. I think what's interesting about this season is it made me dislike Morpheus as a character. I liked his character in the first season. They really and I think that is the point, because at the end he makes a sacrifice, which we'll get into. I don't really. I think it could have been done better, but the whole point is supposed to be he became a better person. But I would have liked to have seen that evolve more. That kind of just happens. Like at the end when he's about to face his death, he's like, "Shit, let me go wake up the old guy who imprisoned me and forgive him. Let me go." Like he's got a checklist at the end. But and people are saying you're getting more human, and we see snippets of it. But I just think that should have been the through line. The through line should have been different missions that make him more human. Mm-hmm. And then either lean into his siblings or pull them back. Because we're in this middle place with them. It's like they never get their own episode. and they're all interesting enough, but
One
it's all about how they. Oh well, that's a different story. You're talking about the last, the final
yes, I'm talking
one,
about the
right?
bonus episode.
Yeah, but like I liked Delirium. I would have liked to have seen more about her. Why did um what was the guy Destruction? Why did Destruction leave? We don't know. He just did, and they
Yeah,
found him.
all right. So, and I'm gonna be. I thought that I missed that. There were certain things that I thought that I missed. I'm curious to know that if you picked up on them, and I think it's all right. So that was annoying me as well. That his brother Destruction leaves and gives up his realm, and it's like whatever, it'll take care of itself. Not a big deal. He goes and finds his own thing where he does his paintings on this island. He has a dog who he talks to and gets answers from. Unlike when I speak to my dogs, I don't really get answers from them most of the time. But this dog actually talks back to him, and I had questions about that never really gets explained either.
Yeah, like they name it Barnabas, and that actually is also a character in Skyrim. I don't know if that he plays a talking dog, Barnabas
Oh,
talking dog
okay.
in Skyrim, the video game. So I don't know if that's a homage to this. But yeah, I would have liked some more on them. Like there's such big parts, and that it's such a big part of them looking for destruction. That becomes like, I don't know, that's like plot number 3 or 4 that becomes important as we go along.
Well, Destruction.
Delirium.
Yeah, go ahead.
Delirium, who's probably one of my favorite characters. She's very interesting. Convinces. So Morpheus. We'll catch up. Morpheus finds his love, frees her from hell. The love's like, I don't love you. Leave me alone. And she goes back to the waking world, and then.
I also felt like that was a storyline that also went nowhere.
Yes, I agree.
Right?
I agree. I think that was just, see, he's changing. Old Morpheus would have put her back into hell, but it's not enough. It's not enough to sustain 15 episodes, 12 episodes, whatever this was.
It was 11 plus the bonus, so 12 overall. But it's 11 episodes. Well, not even. It's actually 10 episodes that Morpheus's storyline gets caught up in because, again, spoilers. He's not in the last. Well, he's in the last episode for like 3 seconds when he talks to William Shakespeare in a flashback.
Yes,
and that's it. Because the last episode is about his funeral. That it's just people talking good about him after he died, which I also thought that was a bizarre choice. You know, to kind of go with that as your last episode of this show.
Yeah, and then there's I mean, like, it will jump around. Like, it doesn't matter. But then, then there's the introduction of New Dream, and this was confusing to me. So the physical inhabitants of the D words, destruction, death, delirium, dream, they're all people, Eternals, but they can die, and then they get replaced, and then eventually no one remembers they were replaced?
That sounds about right, but then the replacement also kind of gets some of the former's memories.
Right, and so it's like he knows what Dreamer Morpheus knew, but isn't Dreamer Morpheus. It again, that needed to be explored more.
Yeah, I think they wasted a lot of time on shit that didn't really matter. And meanwhile, there's others, like you said, it does seem like maybe they were writing this, and then halfway through they knew it was going to be the last, and then they decided, oh, we have shit to wrap up now, or we need all the stuff we were going to get to in future seasons, and then they crammed it.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, into this season, and it kind of leaves apparently so far leaves me and you with a lot of questions of things that they set up and didn't really fully flesh out. Things happen that aren't earned, and meanwhile we get like scene upon scene upon scene of like nonsense, like just dragging it out. And I think another thing with this show is, or at least this season, and I'm trying to think back to the first season. I also didn't find this season very exciting or like I am kind of glad that I was kind of pressured, I guess, into on my own to pressure into watching this and had to watch it because I don't know if I would have been like, oh, let's talk about this, let's break it down one by one, and me and you would have been like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode.
No, I'm with you. I actually kind of found this to be a bit of a chore. I was forcing myself to get through it, and because, like, again, you get maybe an episode and a half of an interesting story that gets resolved. Like, if the season was finding destruction, great. If that paid off for anything, great. Like, if you want to focus on his siblings, give us a season where they have to, or whatever, they're finding destruction. And we find out his backstory and their backstory. You get to introduce then, we get a line where Despair is like, I sometimes think about the former Despair. None of you remember her. I do. And it's like, okay, show us that. Why couldn't it be a whole, like, and it's what you said. I get that they were trying to wrap things up. Maybe that was it. But as a result, it just doesn't work because you're right. It's not exciting. That first season, you had the Corinthian and you didn't know what was going on with him. And it was, okay, he's got to, Dream has to collect his dream tokens and you get to, explore the world through that. But this doesn't have any of that. This is just like Dream bouncing about and resolving shit real quick. And it's like, looking for destruction could have been the season. The whole thing with the baby could have been the season.
The whole thing with Hell, I thought was going to be the season. I
did too. And it's just like, no, it's like, wrapped up. And yeah, I don't think it worked. And I think the whole thing with the baby it was weird to me because it's like Dream frees Loki from Odin's prison and just says, at some point I'll need a favor. And then when he goes to collect that favor, Loki gets pissed and decides to fuck Dream over and get Dream killed.
Yes, which turns out to be, I guess, the main... I guess if I had to say that's the main storyline of the season, it turns out to be Dream versus Loki and Puck, right? Because the two of them are running around. They end up getting the baby who was already told, like it was already decided that he was going to be the next king of the dreaming, and they knew that, and then they decided to basically kill but not kill the baby, and the baby ends up turning into like not the baby anymore and turns into what he's supposed to be. He's like a god of some sort. He's like an entity, I guess. And this is before Morpheus is even dead. And it's very jumbled.
It is. Now, again, if the season was Loki versus Dream, that's something. And then, and because when the Loki stuff happens, that's when he brings back Joanna Constantine. That's when he brings back the Corinthian. Puck and Loki are kind of lovers, but they're tricksters, and they if you can say, like, no, you don't trust each other. That's part of the fun.
Yeah.
And there is a rift because Puck doesn't want to hurt the kid, and Loki's just not telling him the whole plan. Loki's, no, we gotta burn him. I'm not gonna tell you what's gonna happen because fuck you. Which again, that made no sense. Like, why not just say no? Here's the plan.
Yeah, and then I guess let's further that though. So that's the plan, all right. And also they're using this baby to set up the mother. They set Dream up to think that Dream took the baby. So then the mother is the avatar of the three. Was the kind ladies that they call them, who are held responsible.
Which I like those.
No, they were kind of cool, but they used her as like an avatar. And is she supposed to be like Hippolyta or something like that? I
think so, yeah.
Yeah, because she kind of goes to the dream world with her sword and starts destroying, wrecking shop on the Dreamin', and she's doing that while they're chasing down Dream to murder him because he spilled family blood. And how he spilled family blood is because he ends up murdering his own. Dream murders his own son, right? Who is a fucking head, which I also thought was really weird. And
that was weird. Who's Orpheus from Myth?
I don't know.
No.
Okay.
They said that he's Orpheus. Like his whole story is the Greek myth Orpheus, where he like his wife gets killed and he goes and he begs Hades, and Hades is like, all right, yeah, but here's the deal: you just gotta walk and you won't hear her, and you just gotta take it on faith that she's behind you, and don't look back or you'll lose her. And he looks back and he loses her. That's the thing. But they literally just lifted these characters and didn't do much with them, like changing wise, and took them into this.
Yeah, because Orpheus is now Morpheus' son, who, like you mentioned, wedding night, Snake goes ahead, kills his wife on their wedding night. Yeah, he wants to join her. And then I guess it's because there is, like, hell is under a different ruler. Like, that's why he also, so he wants to die. And then he ends up getting ripped apart at one point, and it's just a head remaining. And that goes on for years. And then he asks Morpheus to kill him so he can be with his wife. Morpheus says no, then catches up with him later, and then ends up honoring his son's, wishes and kills him as a head. That's how he spills family blood. And apparently, if you spill family blood in this family, you are to be murdered and you are to be sentenced to death. And that's where the fair ladies come into this, who are trying to kill Morpheus, and Morpheus understands that. But then it's alluded to that, all right, so I guess Morpheus doesn't want to die, and because he wants to protect the Dreaming and he wants to do his responsibilities, yada, yada. And he has to stay there, so he has to stay in the Dreaming because then the fair ladies can't enter the realm of the Dreaming. So he stays there, but then he gets summoned out kind of, inadvertently into Fairy.
Yeah, because he gives, there's the whole thing with the fairies. Like there's that episode where with Shakespeare, which is a fun enough thing, where he gets Shakespeare to write Midsummer Night's Dream, which is about the fairy kingdom, and they give him like one of the fairies as his servants, and she's like, all right, fuck you, I'm a dreamer now. Yeah. And then like when he's about to when they go on the rampage to kill him, the kind ones, he sends her back, but gives her a boon, like, if you ever need me, use it and I'll come to you. And then Titania steals it and uses it, and it takes him out of the dreaming, and that allows the kindly women to go and murder everyone in the dream world, only for them to be brought back in an episode later.
That's another thing that completely drove me nuts, because I'm like, when that's happening, like the pumpkin, who has a machine gun at one point, and says, I'm your biggest nightmare, that's a pumpkin with a machine gun, which I briefly thought was cool, but eventually, like, that's a character that is just there. When they do these deaths, I don't know if it's because maybe it was only me. I just didn't give a shit about these characters. Like, I know who they are, but they don't really do anything. They're just there hanging out with Dream.
Yeah, like Cain and Abel, and I think one of them gets killed.
Yeah, one of them gets killed, the pumpkin. And Matthew was the only one who the bird, voiced by Patton Oswalt, he was the only one that I kind of really gave a shit about.
Yes. Yeah, but he doesn't die.
No, but I gave a shit about him, honestly, partially because he doesn't. Because when Morpheus is going to go face them, the kind ladies, and he tells them, like, I'm not going to go run for safety. I'm going with you. Like, I've got your back. I'm with this till the end, boss. Like, let's just go. If you're not coming back, then I'm not coming back. And that's it. And that's honestly what made me more interested in him, is because I'm like, okay, so there's something here. And then I expected some sort of like grandiose showdown between Morpheus and the kind ladies, and he just sends for his sister, sends Matthew for his sister. His sister Death shows up, takes the hand, done. And I know he gives the speech of like he's tired and he's kind of done. Like he hasn't been the same since he murdered his son. And I get it. that part changed him, and I can see that where that kind of that
Yes.
one thing set him here. But I also was a little confused about like, so I felt like he could have just easily went around this and defeated them, but he chose to die because he had a successor
I think
and stuff. Am I wrong on
I
this?
think that I don't think he could have defeated them.
Okay.
I think
All right.
that's the thing. Like, I think their whole purpose, like, you know, his purpose is the dreaming. Their whole purpose is to keep these factions from fucking with each other. And you know, it's kind of stupid that this is what they get him on. And there is the whole thing where it's like, well, someone has to ask us to go after you. And then and I didn't like this. They trick Hippolyta into asking for it. And I didn't like that because I would have liked it much better if these women were fucking by the book, no matter what. Like, no, you got to ask. We can't trick you into it. But they do trick her into it because they lead her. She thinks that he stole her baby because like, I think that's because of Loki. And they tell her at first, when the baby's first taken, they tell her the two people stole your baby. This is what they want to do with it. Mm-hmm. So I thought at first, like, oh, okay, they're going to be fair here. But then after the baby's dead, or she's told the baby's dead, they're just like, oh yeah, come, ask us to do it. Like, come on, please. And it's like, I don't know, it could have been handled differently. And then I think I don't mind the ending of him kind of just accepting it. I would have liked a bit more between him and the ladies, maybe some conversation that leads him there.
Yeah, it just ends like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like him in Death. I like Death coming, like, and going to the ladies, like, no, this is what I do now. Get out of here, go. Yeah. But there could have been more to that, and I think that needed to be earned a bit more. And because there's not a lot of action, it's kind of a dull season. Like, something here, just a bit more could have been. But this was just like, I don't want to die. All right, I do. Call my sister.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. I just kind of felt it was very anticlimactic. So that's
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weak. So you also mentioned, I guess let's talk about Joanna Constantine, and which I even hate saying it like that because we know what character she's supposed to be. But you know,
yes,
rights. Man, would I have killed to see John Constantine as played by Matt Ryan in this? Like,
I just like watching Matt Ryan play John Constantine.
Exactly.
I put him on anything.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care about like the new character genders. Like, I don't give a shit about that. The genders. That doesn't mean shit.
No, I actually really like this actress. She's a Doctor Who actress. That's how I know her.
Oh, okay.
Jenna
she's
Coleman.
good.
She's great. She is one of the highlights for me of this show. Like her, like I really feel this season needed more Joanna Constantine because when she's on screen with especially when she's on screen with the Samaritan. Fuck, I just said it. Thank you.
Corinthian, yeah, Boyd Holbrook.
Yeah. They got great chemistry together. The scene when they're hunting down Loki, like there could have been more of that, where she gets the bottle of booze. And this is another thing that kind of pisses me off about the series or the season. The Corinthian goes, "What are you doing?" "I'm calling Odin." "No, we can't do that. Dream said not to tell him." "Yeah, fuck Dream." All right, fine, I'll listen to you. "Yeah, all right, fine. After I've done this, I'll listen to you. Let's go do it your way." And then Odin comes. And then Odin, like, as Loki's about to, like, spring his trap against him, Odin comes and goes, "You fucking idiot, let's go." Thor, grab him. And then you think something's going to happen, and he goes, "Huh, tell Dream I know what he did. Forgive him." Then, if it were that easy,
but that's what I'm saying.
Call Odin up at the beginning.
Shit keeps getting, like, resolved way too easily throughout this entire season. Like, it's just, everything's, like, super easy, barely an inconvenience. Like, it's just done. I don't know. Yeah. Everything gets built up to be this, like, world-ending thing, and it's pretty cool. Like, I'm on board with it. But then it's just over.
You know what? You just hit the nail on the head. So much gets built up that you're expecting something, and then it just goes away. Like that was my big thing with Destruction, right? Because that's the thing that for me, I'm like, that there should have been more of that. What the fuck was going on there? Because there's a cool scene. There's some cool scenes, right? I'm not saying this was terrible. This was nicely shot. The acting was great. Yeah. There's some interesting stuff. There's a scene where Destruction is painting. He's with Barbas, whatever, and like there's a warning thing. You see he's recreated his sigils, and Barnabas is like, what does that mean? He goes, it's trouble coming. My siblings. It's like, okay, things are gonna get good. No. They find him.
Just kidding.
Makes some sandwiches. Says I'm not coming back. Take the dog. I'll be in the way. I'll see you in the last episode. Like,
yeah, he disappears like the Sandman and Spider-Man 3. He says,
yes,
that's it. About bye. And Jason's not even joking. He literally makes them sandwiches and cooks them a meal, and that's it. And that's everything. It's like, I don't know. It's just like there's a lot of like there's just repeatedly hype, and then nothing. Just nothing.
Yes, they don't hit the payoff for these things. It's like, brother, fine. We're going to hell. That'll be interesting. Nah, we're done with hell. But the kid, the baby, although I will say this, there was that moment where Loki puts that baby on the fire.
That was wild.
And I didn't know what was going on.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting in front of my computer, and I turn to no one because I watch this shit by myself. My wife's not going to watch this with me. I turn to no one, and I say, are they killing that baby? Like, are they really fucking frying a baby in front of me in an open flame?
And isn't that how that episode ends, if I remember it?
Yes. You don't know what has. So, it's got some interesting stuff, but like, again, if you just chose one or two of these plotlines, right? Give us like we're looking for destruction in the first half of the season. That leads us to the baby and the quiet or the nice ones, and that's the second half. But there is so much more mishigash going on that I just don't care about because they're building these things up and doing nothing with it, deflating them, and then I'm supposed to care?
Yes, that's the problem, and that's why I guess I just overall just didn't really care by the end of this. But you had mentioned Joanna Constantine and the Corinthian, the new Corinthian. I thought it was also me that they set up some sort of like, you can tell he's into her as soon as he's like created, and she doesn't seem to give a shit about him, and then that keeps going on. He's totally trying his best. He's pulling out all his moves he doesn't have and stuff like that, and then in the last episode she's still like telling him basically no at the dream funeral, and then at the end of it's like, no, I saw you were by yourself. Okay. I like you now.
Yeah.
And that's a summary of the whole season.
Yes. And that happens in the last 2 or 3 episodes. Like, for this to work, I would have needed to see cutaway scenes for half of this season of those two doing whatever Dream has asked them to do and watching her grow affection for him. Like, because I get it. I get what they were trying to do. Like, he was a murderous psychopath. That's not him anymore. If I can look past what he looks like and kind of take him for who he is, maybe that could be something. And they do have good chemistry, but everything is so rushed and so easy.
Yeah, there was definitely much better show of change in Rocky 4. When it's, if you can change and I can change, then everybody can change. And then, the Cold War ended, as we all know.
That's right. Yeah, Rocky ended the Cold War. Don't ever forget that, guys. It's in the history books. Or it will be.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just something else that's unearned. And yeah, the destruction thing, like he's an interesting character. So I'm like, oh, so destruction's the thing. Like I expect this guy to like world-ending shit and like super powerful and blah blah blah. And meanwhile, he's painting and making sandwiches and kind of just shows up to diatribe for a second and then kind of leaves and that's it. As he does that in the last episode.
Right. Yes. And now I don't mind him making sandwiches and painting. I think that's a cool idea. But if you don't at some point, whether in the present or in a flashback, show me the other version of this guy where he was living his best life as destruction, really enjoying the destruction of things, and then he has a moment at some point that's fine, that's character development. But we never see destruction as anything but this peaceful Zen painter.
Yeah. And that's why I guess again I just didn't really care about the character, even when Delirium is like hell-bent on finding him. Like, oh, we find destruction, everything will be better, everything will be fixed, it's okay, I want to find my big brother. And Dream goes along with it. And also, like, when Dream and him met up, I thought there was going to be more of a payoff because Destruction is the one who has the conversation with Orpheus before he goes and, like, kind of the shit hits the fan with him. Remember, he has that. He talks to Destruction. Yeah. Destruction tells him to go, basically to. This is when he goes to like hell, and that's when he kind of gets shredded apart, and like is turned into a head. But there's no like real payoff to that either. And because they mention a tension between Dream and Destruction. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to find him. He doesn't want to see him. And I thought it's because it has something to do with your son. Nah, I just don't. No big deal.
I mean, maybe it does. We just don't know. We're never told.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as we know, none of it matters. Yeah, it's just not a big deal.
And it's such a wasted thing because I think that the idea of a character who their whole purpose was destruction, destroying, ripping things apart, and you get tired of that. And I get that, and I would have been fine with a line, I had to leave you guys. How can I build myself into a new person that isn't based on destruction if I'm always around the old way? Something. But he doesn't give us any of that.
And I also think that's another good way to look at it, because this show, the undercutting of everything it builds up. And I think one of is just the huge problem, and I know we mentioned this, but it's just what it is. It just really is the issue with this, is also the idea of these gatekeepers, dream, destruction, despair, desire, all of them. So we find out Lucifer just quits. Okay, no big deal. Here's the key. I move on. Destruction just quits. Oh, okay. It'll handle itself. Not a big deal. Dream feels like his responsibility. When he went away in season 1, people literally stopped dreaming. Like, shit was not right. Okay?
Yeah.
And this season, by what they tell you in this one, though, they're not that important. Why does there have to be a successor? Why their jobs are meaningless in a way? Because they can just go sit on a beach and make sandwiches with a dog and nothing, it's okay. Or they can just hand the key off to Morpheus. Yeah. No big deal. Like it really it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think if you're gonna play with that, that has to be your focus. Like, okay, we'll show you what happens when some of them walk away, but there's gonna be something. Like, it's not like destruction leaves and things stop, war stops.
No,
fighting
which would have been cool.
Oh, right, but no, none of that happens. It just unfortunately, because I was excited for this, but unfortunately the season proper, not counting the bonus episode because that's a separate thing. I think it was a big disappointment.
Yeah, it was. I'm actually like, I was kind of bummed when I saw the report before this came out that it was going to be the last season, but after watching it, I'm kind of glad it is. I don't think they have anything else left anyway.
Yeah,
like there was nowhere. There was nothing. And where it sets up the next a dream, king of the endless, dreaming like I I I don't care about his adventures either because apparently these characters don't mean anything. They at the end of it, everyone they're having dinner. He has dinner with his new family. Everything is happy go lucky, and it's like almost the end of like a sitcom. Like I felt like it was the end of Full House.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. I wish we would have seen more out of his siblings. I think that it should have. If you're focused, sorry, if your focus is going to be on him regaining his humanity, we got to see about his siblings
Yeah.
too. And we don't, and that's the thing is this season is about nothing. It's just jumping from one easily solvable conflict to another every 2 episodes.
That's again major disappointment. I think overall. All right, so let's touch on a bonus episode then before we flip over to Alien Earth.
So, bonus episode. Fun fact about the bonus episode. This is based on the one comic of this run I did read because I love the character of Death. In the comic, the character of Death is like a teenage goth girl in a top hat.
Okay.
And so when I was in high school and college, that was love me a goth girl. So I was into that. I actually really liked this episode, and I was curious because I really like the girl they get to play Death.
Yeah, she's
I was watching, she's very good, but she's very different looking, and I don't even mean that she's the fact that she's black. That's not even what I'm talking about. It's a very different aesthetic. She is not a goth girl in the top hat.
No.
Right? But I do feel that regardless of them changing her aesthetic, she is that character. She really does embody the character well. And I was watching the season going, shit, I don't know if I really like this Death, but I don't know if she could pull off the actual episode I watched, not knowing I was going to get it. Mm-hmm. The actual episode made from the thing that I read, and then she did. I thought she was great in it. I really like this episode. I think it's the best episode of the season. And again, I have a history with it. I read the comic. I like the idea of Death taking a holiday, of no one dying because Death is taking a break, and kind of just living her best life. I will say that the one thing I remember the most about that comic was not in here, which was disappointment when they're all being kept. Because the whole thing is she comes to Earth. She's hanging around. She winds up talking to this guy. They go to a club. They get abducted by this guy who was actually looking to trap Death. And so he kind of lured them there. They hang around for a bit, and then they escape. This is nothing big. It's nothing crazy. But in the comic, there are some goons that they have down there, and one of them does get killed. And the guy who never believes that she's Death says, "You said you were Death. No one dies because you're not on the job." And she's like, "Yeah, but I'm right here." It's okay. He died because I'm here. If I wasn't here, he would have died. And I actually thought I really enjoyed that moment of the comic because it really does yeah, I'm Death, but you're not going to believe it. And I don't know, but that's not in here. And I was kind of just upset that I didn't see my favorite part of the comic represented.
Well, I thought this was. I agree. I think this was I didn't know where the hell this episode was going, and honestly, after watching the first 11 episodes, when this one I still had one to go, I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's see what this is. And yeah, it was a pleasant surprise because she does meet up with this writer who was kind of like really down on humanity and Earth, and he's just like, if I'm correct though, he was going to kill himself. Right?
Yes, he's going to kill himself, and she kind of stops him and kind of saves him.
Yeah, like Death stops the guy from committing suicide because he's so down on the environment and what's happening with the planet and everything, and like humanity. He's lost all faith in it. And they go on their little like adventure and stuff like that, and I thought that was interesting. And you knew her not paying for anything anywhere was going to kind of lead up to something as well. Um, and he has these roommates, and right then there's the scene where they go to the club, and he gets the guy basically summoned Death and tries to trap her there because he wants to bring back his girlfriend that OD'd, and she can't really do that. And then that kind of keeps moving on. And then throughout the episode, though, this guy who was going to commit suicide, he was going to see his ex-girlfriend at this club and everything like that. Turns out not to be there. He meets somebody else there who tells this terrible story about how she was abused by, it was her father and it was a priest and like their friends, and like, there was a lot of, it was a pretty dark story for what was also kind of an uplifting story overall. There's really dark things in it, but an uplifting story overall because of the journey that the guy takes, as well as that by the end of it, he's kind of had his faith in humanity and restored, and like he doesn't see things so badly. He just decides he deletes his suicide note off his computer, and he kind of has a completely different outlook, ironically, because Death shows him to want to live. He has a want to live by the end of it. And she also ends up giving, I forgot the character's name, the older woman who was looking for her soul.
Oh, I almost forgot about her. Yeah, right, because she's looking for her. So I forget. She's in the proper. She's the season. She's the one who is helping the kind ones.
Yes. And in this, she needs to find her soul, so she asks Death for that. And Death, at the end of it, basically purchases back her soul using, what was it, pounds? She pays like 20 pounds or some crap like that.
Yeah.
She actually pays for something at the end. And then Death has to die because it's once every 100 years she gets 1 day to live as a human. But unfortunately ends up dying, and then sees Death at the end and kind of sees herself at the end. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I do think it was the best episode of the season, which is also ironic that it was a bonus episode. It's kind of like a side spin-off of Death, but yet had the most to say and kind of did what it needed to do, and everything felt earned and not undercutting itself constantly.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it was a really solid exploration of the character of Death, right?
Yeah.
Yes, her job is to take life, but it's not in a nasty way. She's not evil or malignant. She's actually very kind, and it's when your ticket's up, that's it. She can't do anything about it. That guy's ticket wasn't up. She helps him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I like the idea of someone who wants to kill himself getting so close to death, literally, like he hangs out with her all day, and that is what makes him want to live again, and not in a I'm afraid of death way, in a no, wait, I was wrong, there's more here. And I think that's really interesting. And I kind of wish we would have gotten stuff more of that with the rest of the family. Now, again, I know this is based on a comic, and I don't think that comic exists where it explores all the family, but nonetheless. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Ed?
No, I said it should have been, it almost seems like we should have had a Death spin-off instead, like a series instead of this.
Would have loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, just an odd thing overall. But yeah, if you did like season 1 of Sandman, that was the superior season. Season 2,
agreed.
Not so much. So
agreed.
All right. So then I guess let's shift gears over to Alien Earth, episodes 1 and 2, which dropped on FX and Hulu last Tuesday. New episodes will be dropping at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays moving forward. And our show will be with the Alien franchise and Predator franchise for a while, I will say, because once we're done with this, we will start diving into the movies and Predator as well, since they have Predator Badlands coming out in the fall. So we will be covering the entire franchises. And yes, that does include the dreaded Alien versus Predator, Aliens versus Predator crossovers in the past, which I'm sure they will be leading up to a proper one, which I'm hoping we're getting, because it seems like both franchises are kind of on their way on the upswing now, in my opinion, from what I've seen from them. But let's focus on this. Noah Hawley had his thing when I knew he was involved in this show, as much as I wasn't like over the moon about the entire run of Legion. I was kind of really interested in what he can do with an Alien TV series. And my overall thoughts on this, I fucking loved these episodes. Like, this show is off to like guns blazing start, in my opinion. Like, I couldn't have been that much more excited. I watched these two yesterday morning. I took a little break from Sandman before I resumed. And my God, I was fully invested in this. Like, I can't wait for episode 3 to come out. What were your thoughts on this?
I really enjoyed it. And I went in, I'm not going to lie, I went in, this right off the bat has a little, for me, a little in the negative, just because I'm so done with legacy sequels and reboots, and I'm just, I'm always, that's me, and that's my bias.
When we cover them, you are fair.
I am very fair, and I'm going to be very fair here too. But like, that's why, like, I'm never going to see that new Beetlejuice movie, because I'm just so fucking out on these like legacy sequels and reboots. It's like, no, fucking make something new, motherfucker. Having said that, I walked out of this going, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. And I guess this is a franchise that you really can't explore, because it's not about Ripley. It's about the fucking aliens, right? So like, we're just exploring this world. And a couple things I didn't realize, like I didn't know anything about this. They were going Earth, because that's the name, Alien Earth, which is something they've wanted to do since Alien 3. And I guess we'll talk about it when we do Alien 3 eventually. But that was what that movie was supposed to be, where it crash lands on Earth. And I always remember thinking, how would you do that? Like, how could that work? Because once you get aliens on Earth, what are you going to do? They're just going to fucking rip through us.
Well, I think we have
show, where they've literally made it the whole season like a bottle season. Like, there's a crash, there's a spaceship, there's a building. The entire season's taking place here. I like that. That's fucking smart, because we're focusing on this one thing. You're not trying to build vast years of lore in every episode. No, you're giving me a fucking story, and that's what I want. And even with the scene where, and we'll get into it, but the girl who becomes the robot, who's looking for her brother, for me, in the first episode, I'm thinking, oh my God, so is this going to be like her, the whole season, her trying to find her brother? And, by the end, by the second episode, she finds him, and her friend goes, that's your sister, discuss, and walks away. And I'm like, good, get this shit out of the fucking way. This is not why I'm here. Here are the fucking aliens. You want to give me story, that's great. Don't let it get in the way of the interesting stuff. And they didn't. And I really appreciated that.
So I do think and I guess the timeline wise of this is set before Alien. This is set before Aliens, like a lot of them. This is the setup for that. I didn't actually I know I've seen a couple of different timeline things jumped in here, and I know I sent you one. So this is not before Prometheus and Alien Covenant predate this in the timeline than Alien Earth. And I do think with the Alien, the whole mythology for Alien, there is a lot uncovered. Outside of just people, crew is sleeping, when they wake up, spaceship, xenomorphs, go. Like, there is more there. And, they tried to get into that with Prometheus. And I feel like that we'll revisit that eventually. But that, I think it was, they kind of somewhat fumble on themselves a little bit, but this is pretty basic. It's like, hey, let's get back to Weyland Yutani. Let's show you there. They have other things like Prodigy, Wayland Yutani and Prodigy are the two competing companies that we are introduced to so far. They did mention there was 5 of them, right? And
Yes.
I think this show has a lot to say about a lot of things, which is also why it's kind of hooked me in immediately. With that, there's the corporate greed, right, where everyone's going for what it is, right? Like Wayland Yutani obviously does deep space exploration and is bringing back extremely dangerous fucking, organisms, to Earth. Like that was their plan for a lot of this to discover. Prodigy is the competing company who's dealing with the other questionable thing that we see happening here, where the character known as Wendy, who is put their consciousness is put into a synthetic and is a child living in an adult synthetic body, and there are others that do that. Then there's cyborgs, and they mentioned this in the opening, episode.
Yeah.
What's going on here? So there's a lot of things to question and theorize there, regarding that besides the actual xenomorphs. But you're right. You still need to have xenomorphs being horrifying, being menacing, and creeping up on people and murdering. Like, you can do that with also having something to say here.
Yes.
And that's where I think this show does a great job with that. Also, Timothy Oliphant's character, who was also kind of like the head synthetic, or at least the, lead in this little group.
Yeah.
He also has a lot to say about humanity as well, which I think we're going to get a lot of this of questioning humanity and a lot of questions about that. Because he even gives this whole speech here where he's like, well, you guys were food on the food chain at one point.
Yeah.
Then you started creating machines, impossible machines. And then you decided we're not food anymore. And you stood up for yourselves. But there's always something bigger. There's always something better who's going to come. And obviously, in theory, he's mentioning the xenomorphs because that's who we're, we know who's coming. Who's the bigger predator, the bigger thing on the food chain. So there is that. And I think that's a lot of things that got me interested here. Plus, also, this show takes it back, and we had this conversation somewhat recently between people who are Alien fans and Aliens fans, right?
Yes.
This show is, and I think you'd agree, is 100% Alien. Like, this feels more in the horror vein, horror sci-fi than action sci-fi.
I agree. I mean, so far we got one alien, and it's in this building. Well, one xenomorph.
One xenomorph with things hatching.
And it's yes. Oh, things are hatching. We got one xenomorph for now. But that was that first movie too, and the xenomorph is, kind of skulking around the darkness and killing people. I have to admit, I know it's probably because it's TV. I actually like the fact that they imply the violence without actually seeing it. I think it's really smart that they employ darkness and strobe and cutaways, because when you see what the alien does, what the xenomorph does to the party guests, I don't actually want to see that happening. I'm glad they didn't show me that.
You sure? Because I'm going to be honest, they seem like they're a bunch of douchebags, so I was kind of hoping that they were going to show it.
Oh, I'm glad they were murdered. They all deserve to be murdered. Well, at least the guy who owned the place deserved to be murdered. Some nasty shit was done in that room. I don't want to have seen it. I'm glad I didn't. I will say that I think what really got me in this, and I agree with you, the commenting on humanity. You get that whole scene in the beginning with Timothy Oliphant's character and the scorpion, and he asks Wendy before she makes the transition, do you want me to kill the scorpion? And she says yes. And he says, but why? Why? And he makes her think, why kill if you don't need to? What happens if I'm killing him to save you and one of his friends comes? It's interesting. I think that's really interesting. So that, but I also really like the other alien stuff. Because I've watched so many of these alien movies, and I've sat with xenomorphs in this, for a long time. in this way. I was kind of more interested in what was going on with the other aliens in that room, like the fucking eyeball alien.
Yeah, like what the fuck is some of that? I was actually really interested in that too, because it's not just xenomorphs.
Right. And that's what I found cool about it, because when it comes to it, xenomorph killing a bunch of humans, we've seen that a lot, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to give us something else. But they know this; they're giving us something else. Like when the cyborg, who's the captain of the ship, who's the only one who survives, whose only thing is to get that xenomorph. He doesn't give a shit about anything else. The first responders come. He chains them together, handcuffs them together, and just leaves them for dead in that room. And what I can only think are like these alien mosquitoes attack them, because they're like these worms that suck your blood and then literally kill you. And they're kind of like deadly alien mosquitoes. Like, that's fucking interesting.
Yeah, and then there's the one with the eyeball thing that could see a bunch of different things, and it goes into the fucking cat.
Yep. And I was thinking, like, as it was chasing these synthetics around, who I love the fact that they're children, because that makes total sense why they're so fucking afraid, even though they're robots, because they're children. So I thought that was really smart. But I was thinking, like, well, could it do anything to them?
That's what I was thinking, and I don't think so, but I'm really not sure.
But it was interesting, though. I really liked seeing the other aliens. I like that character of the cyborg a lot. I love that first shot. That first shot is so when they're on the ship and you see them all as a crew.
Mm-hmm.
That first scene and before the thing crashes, and that was Alien for me. That was like, oh, we're just some fucking working class schmucks talking and bullshitting and fucking with each other, and then you cut to like everyone's dead.
Yeah, done. And also they used part of the reason we opened up our episode with the alien theme, because there is a lot of that used in this. They do use the original soundtrack from the original Alien, which I thought was interesting and made me feel like we were in that world. And also like the way the technology looks and the way that the style of the hairstyles and the clothing and everything like that. They didn't do that thing where they're like, oh, this is being made in 2025, so we need to advance it. No, we need to make sure you feel like the Alien movies happen after this, which I thought was also really smart. But another thing they do with it, though, is even though it looks like old technology to us, they do show that it is more advanced than what it maybe appears. Like when Wendy is a synthetic who has, the child consciousness in her, but she can touch a screen and start moving shit. She can go ahead and kind of like do different things that are more like modern technology. So I thought that was an interesting way to update the technology of this world at the same time of not changing the look of it, which I thought was also pretty cool that they kind of like did their homework in it.
I absolutely agree. This felt in the world of Alien. Aliens. It absolutely felt in that world from the very beginning.
And that's important when you're going to make, because you had mentioned about legacy sequels and series and reboots and stuff like that. That's you need to, if you're going to make this successful, first thing you need to do is make sure I feel like this takes place when you're telling me it takes place in the canon of the pre-existing movies and films and shows. This show does an excellent job of that, from the music to the look to the set design, all of that. It all looks really cool. And the big thing is, and I'm glad it looks like they're going to explore this, is Wendy. So Wendy is the main synthetic that we had mentioned, and she was a child who was dying of cancer, who cheats death by her parents or whatever. They go to Prodigy, and Prodigy puts her consciousness in it, and they have a bunch of other sick kids who end up being put into all these synthetics, and they're all kind of skipping over. And that's a moral question of what, is this right or wrong and everything. But they also get thrown into this rescue mission, the search and rescue mission, immediately by the boy genius there, who's kind of like the head of Prodigy, with like no hesitation.
Do you get Lex Luthor vibes from? Okay, like I expected him
Absolutely
to put piss in a jar and call it Granny's peach tea.
Oh man, that would have been our. Remember, we were concerned that our time was coming to an end, but that would have been like, here it is. Here's your rebirth.
Here's your rebirth, exactly. But he's so Lex Luthor in Dawn of Justice. It's not, and not, I'm not even saying that as a bad thing. He just is. It's he looks like him. He acts like him.
Yeah, like eccentric and stuff like that. And he's another one who is an interesting character because obviously what he's doing with them, because it is also very morally wrong to go ahead and send these synthetics that are really the minds of children into the search and rescue because you want what Wayland Yutani has, which is that there's money to be made there, even though he screams and gives this whole diatribe in episode 2 about it not being about money. He wants it to be about something. He wants to create something that he can have a conversation with on his intellectual level as he sees it.
Yes.
Which, is a whole. I could definitely see that Lex Luthor saying some insanity like that. But I still think in levels he's completely full of shit. And he just wants what Wayland Yutani wants. Yeah, it's always. And again. And it's going to be that thing because we even see the head of Wayland Yutani and him arguing it out over territory stuff and like whose is it, whose isn't, and stuff like that. So, the Xenomorphs, obviously Wayland Yutani has been after them for a very long time and wants to get whatever, replicate them or possess them or whatever it is they truly want to do with them. They have the ability, they have them at their disposal. I think you would kind of say is what they really want.
They probably want to build an army that they can control, right?
Exactly, so they can kind of run shit.
Yeah, stupid. Never gonna happen. That's like, I don't know. Like that's the one conceit, and it's not a nitpick. It's just the one conceit of this franchise that always gets me. It's like, what are you gonna do with these things? Their blood is acid. They kill anything. They're literally like cockroaches. Like in the sense that they kind of look like them.
Yeah,
too. But in the sense that they are fucking survivors. They are apex predators of survival. Not the cockroaches are apex predators, but they can survive anything. And like, what are you gonna do with these things? Like, you're always looking to bring them back to Earth. Are you just trying to end the fucking planet?
Yeah, and I do wonder if that is going to be explored in this series now. I have a feeling maybe we do finally get the answer to that in this. Because in the series, now you have time to explore those things. And based on the first 2 episodes, a lot of the moral questions that I think are being set up here is that's got to be one of them. Because none of the movies have really had time to do any of that. They're just schmucks behind the scenes that want the Xenomorphs. They keep sending unfortunate, crews out. And, poor Ripley gets caught up in this shit. And, there's that.
And I don't even, Ripley's crew wasn't even supposed to be looking for the Xenomorphs, right? They were on a mining expedition.
They were on a mining expedition and ended up finding them essentially by accident. But then in Aliens, when we get Paul Reiser's character, obviously he's a complete douchebag and, sending that whole thing with those, Space Marines and everything. So there is a lot of when the Xenomorphs get involved in this, or the Xenomorph, the way it's shot, especially that first person thing, when in episode 2, when the brother gets near the eggs and the hatches and it crosses that like laser thing, I guess it's kind of like a sensor to tell the queen that somebody's by her eggs. They have that first person shooter thing that kind of looks like it's somewhat out of a video game, but it's kind of haunting the way it is because you know what's coming. And he gets into another face-to-face thing, which is the last scene of episode 2, clash with this Xenomorph, and that's where it kind of leaves. But this dude has been in face-to-face with a Xenomorph more than once and gotten extremely lucky to have survived.
Yes.
I'm not so sure that happens again, or do they kill the brother, or
I don't
what?
know.
I don't know. Like I just feel like this show's kind of got me on edge where I'm not really sure what is going to happen. You know.
Yeah, anything's possible, which I like. Like I hate watching a show going, yeah, this. Why am I watching this? You're not going to kill this character. Leave me alone. So don't
Yeah.
pretend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Exactly.
But I don't know. They might kill this character. It might be an impetus for the sister, because the sister's not going to be killed. I don't think we're losing the sister.
No.
But they also don't put her in a lot of danger. Where I think that like, oh my god, but she's going to die. Like, but the brother, who knows?
Well, they did say that she and the kids are supposedly like these somewhat indestructible synthetics at this point. And I thought it was also badass when she goes to save her brother. She got a bunch of shit, and she grabs the blade off a paper cutter that she had, and she has it as a sword, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was like, so I know it got like raving reviews before I sat down to watch it, and I'm glad it lived up to the hype and what's in there. And like I mentioned, you didn't see Alien Romulus yet, right?
I don't think so. I don't remember, to be honest. That's why I'm looking forward to this rewatch for the show, because I've seen a lot of them. I've seen most of them. I don't when we get past Prometheus, I'm not sure where I left off.
Okay. Yeah, because Alien Romulus also took it back to this horror alien type feel,
right?
Which is why I think you're going to eat it up when you see it. Then, because if you haven't seen it yet, like that's why I feel confident this franchise is back on track, or to where it needs to be. Essentially again.
Yeah.
Predator, we'll see.
Stuff to do in this world.
There is, but they found a way to fumble it, on multiple occasions, which is why,
and we'll get
a lot of people gave up on it for a while.
Yeah, I think this is one that I kept coming back to. I think I kind of gave up after Prometheus. And
so you didn't see
really
Alien Covenant,
interested. Then. I think I might have. Oh no, I did see Covenant. Well, it wasn't like Prometheus. I went to the theater to see.
Okay.
Covenant, I was like, I caught it when it was streaming somewhere, and I was half watching it. So I don't really. The only thing I remember about Covenant is, the actual creation of the Xenomorph, which is why I fucking watched it, because I wanted to see where the Xenomorph came in. But Prometheus, I'm actually kind of excited to rewatch, because I saw that once in the theater, and I could have liked it, but I thought the payoff, it didn't pay off like it should have, and I'm curious if I still feel that way when I rewatch it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we're to wrap up Alien Earth, at least the first 2 episodes, because these are setup episodes for what is to come here.
Yeah.
So it's not like too much of it, but I think we've hit on a lot of the at least cool factors that have kind of got us hooked in, immediately. And also, I do like the fact that there is they do acknowledge aliens in this, or they kind of world building here, where as we've talked about how different Alien and Aliens is, but as you see some of the weaponry that are used in Aliens, but is not in Alien. That also happens in Romulus, where they do show some of the Space Marine type things in there, so they are making sure that it feels connected, and that's also what Alien Romulus does a great job of, is it feels like it's in this universe,
Okay, cool.
Because you're dropping it, and because Romulus also takes place between Alien and Aliens, it's not. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I definitely didn't see this movie then.
Okay,
that's interesting.
So
that's actually very interesting to me.
Yeah, which kind of I don't know. Again, we'll save that for that time discussion, but yeah. I don't know. I think you're gonna eat that movie up. I do, since you're also an alien guy. All right. Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap this up? We didn't hit on with Alien.
I think we got everything. I kind of like the just real quick world building, but smart, quick world building. As you find out in the beginning about the 5 corporations, but the way it's capsulated is, this guy's failing history, because we are in because it's a dystopia, right?
Yeah.
It's a dystopia where the different corporations literally own Earth and other planets, and I thought that was a cool, not in your face way to bring that up. Like, hey, this is the world, but we're going to bring it up in a very casual, fun way. It's going to be a joke. Just keep in mind because you're going to need this. And I appreciated the exposition of the world building and the simplicity of it, because I think it's, in particular, legacy sequels or reboots tend to get high on their own supply when it comes to world building, right? Because because you know that it's someone who was a fan of the property, was like, oh, I get to create this property now, and then Ripley got her belt from this store, and that store is going to be in this building, and but you don't get any of that.
No,
it's just, this is what you need to know. Let's have this story, and that's what I appreciated about it.
Yeah, and I also will say that if you're someone who has not seen the other, let's see, 1, 2, 3, whatever, there's like probably 7 Alien movies at this point. This is a good entry point, I think, into the franchise as well. Like,
yeah,
they give you what you needed to know prior, and that's it. So I think you probably could watch this series, and then if you're like, hey, you want to see more? Go watch the movies, and then decide when you want them to end.
I agree.
Yeah, because for some they could end with aliens.
I guess let's determine that when we do a rewatch. Where does the franchise end?
It's true, because it does become a thing at some point. All right, so I think that does wrap it up for this now afternoon. Thanks for joining us as always. If you joined us on the Facebook live stream, sure to check out Granny's Peach Tea's Facebook group, where we drop a bunch of fun little memes and trailers and stories and whatnot that don't make the show. Check us out there. Check out Pop Culture Pros and popculturepros.com, because that's who we are presented by. If you check us on YouTube, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros and wherever you found your audio-only podcast. Jason and I, we will be back next week. We will be talking about episode 3 of Alien Earth, along with the season 2 premiere of Peacemaker.
I'm excited for this one.
Oh man, fun times are coming up. I will say that there's some wild stuff coming down the pipe. So, and that's also got rave reviews right off the top as well. Some calling it even better than season 1 already.
Wow, holy shit!
Yeah, we loved season 1, so I'm excited to get into that. So, we'll see you next week. Peace.
Later.